I was born in the year 1630, the son of King Charles I and Queen Henrietta Maria. My childhood was filled with splendor at court, but that golden world crumbled when my father's crown fell and his head followed. I was but a boy when civil war engulfed England. By the time I became a man, I had no kingdom, only the memory of one. When my father was executed in 1649, I was in exile, a king without a throne, wandering across Europe from France to the Netherlands, seeking allies, shelter and hope. Those were bitter years, years of promises broken, of hunger and of humiliation. Yet I learned much in exile, the ways of men, the art of patience, and how to laugh even when the world is cruel. I swore that if ever I returned to England, I would never let the crown weigh so heavily upon my head as it had upon my father's. My chance came at last in 1660, after the death of Oliver Cromwell and the collapse of his joyless Commonwealth. The people, weary of sermons and soldiers, called for their king once more. And so I came home. The bells rang, the crowds cheered, and I, the prodigal son, was restored. It was, they said, the restoration of the monarchy. For me, it was simply a return to life. They called me the Merry Monarch, and perhaps they were right. I had seen too much death to waste what time God allowed me. The theatres reopened, music filled the air, and laughter returned to London streets. After the long shadow of Puritan rule, England needed joy as much as bread. Some scolded me for my pleasures, but I never apologized for being human. I loved wit, company, and the charms of beauty, and I made no secret of it. Yet beneath the merriment lay the burden of rule. The scars of war had not healed, and distrust still lingered between king and parliament. I sought peace where I could, and compromise where I must. I pardoned many of those who had fought against my father, though I could not forgive the men who had signed his death warrant. Justice, like mercy, has its limits. My reign was not without its trials. In 1665, the Great Plague swept through London, carrying off thousands. I watched my city suffer and did what little a man could do, praying, comforting, rebuilding. Then in the following year came the Great Fire. From the ashes of that ruin we built a new London, stronger, cleaner, fairer. I took pride in that. A king must do more than wear a crown. He must help his people rise again. Religion, that old wound of England, troubled me always. Though I was crowned a Protestant king, I was the son of a Catholic mother and brother to a Catholic heir. The people feared popery and the return of Rome's influence. I, for my part, sought tolerance, though I often found it a dangerous virtue. Let them judge me as they will. I wished only for peace of conscience in a land weary of persecution. As for my family, God granted me no legitimate children, though he gave me many in love. My marriage to Catherine of Braganza was dutiful but barren, and so I looked elsewhere for warmth, to Barbara Villiers, Nell Gwynn, and others who reminded me that joy was still possible. My children born of such unions were dear to me, though none could inherit my throne. In my later years, I thought often of my father, stern, noble, undone by pride. I vowed never to share his fate, and I did not. I learned that survival is itself a form of victory. My crown remained upon my head, though the years had silvered it. I had brought laughter back to England, if not perfection, and that was enough for me. I embraced the faith of my mother and the mercy of God. Let not poor Nellie starve, I said with my last breath, for I had never forgotten those who had stood by me in life. Whatever men may say of Charles Stuart, I was at least human, flawed, forgiving, and full of heart.